Hi, I'm Jordan Crawford. Since resumes can be very drab, I thought I should provide you with a little additional flavor to add to mine. In this mock interview, I will ask many questions of myself that you may ask in an interview. This will allow you to get a better sense of me. Question 1. What is your greatest strength? This is a very common job question. I would say my greatest strength is my ability to analyze all of the issues of a problem and then come at the solution in different ways. What is your greatest weakness? This is a tough question. I would say that my greatest weakness is most likely I'm too headstrong at times. Sometimes I come up with solutions to problems, and I think that those are the best ways to handle those problems, even when there are other alternatives. How do you determine or evaluate success? Give me an example of one of your successful accomplishments. So this is a good question. Most of the accomplishments in my life have been done on multiple fronts. For example, I traveled to China and represented the represented the U.S. at the World Badminton Juniors while I was in high school. While I was in college, I worked for Palm part-time. In addition to achieving my bachelor's while working for Palm, I went on to achieve a master's also while working for Palm. During that time, I was a TA for all 4 semesters, so I had a job at the University of Missouri. I like to get into situations where I'm challenged on multiple fronts. Describe the characteristics of a successful manager. I think this is a very simple question, and I think that the characteristics of a successful manager are just empowering their employees to accomplish goals themselves. I think that you have to trust your employees that they will do the job well, and I think they'll continually amaze you. How would you describe your leadership skills? So I would say that I'm comfortable following or leading. I think that I like to come up with plans in terms of what I do and how I work with people. And so I'm very good at leading groups or leading tasks. I've managed several agents to work on transitions from one knowledge management product to another and to manage the knowledge creation process. So I'm comfortable in both roles, really. Which is more important, creativity or efficiency? Oh, this is a good question, too. I think it's kind of a dichotomy that doesn't really exist. I think you can be creative and efficient as well. But I certainly think creativity takes time, and, the light bulb wasn't invented in a day, right? So I would say that you can be creative in being efficient. And I would say that that is the best way to mix those two concepts. So while creativity is important, I think you can become more efficient by being creative. So maybe I have to say creativity. What 2 or 3 things are most important to you in your job? Number 1, the group environment. I want to work with a great group of people. Number 2, the task I am given are challenging. I want to be challenged. That's kind of obvious. What, in your opinion, are the key ingredients in guiding and maintaining successful business relationships? So this is a good question because business relationships are unlike anything else because you get to work with people that you don't necessarily select. So I think some of the importance in good business relationships is knowing the communication styles of your team, knowing the communication styles of people outside your team. For example, engineering, when working with engineering, they sometimes speak a different language than people like myself in customer support. So a lot of my job involves translating what engineering says into something that a customer can understand. I think that's kind of a good metaphor for interacting with colleagues because often they have different communication styles or they work differently, work at different hours even. And so I think a lot of it is to just be flexible and recognize that style and accept it for what it is and not attempt to change it or to force someone to do something that they're not comfortable doing. Describe the most significant or creative presentation that you've had to complete. So I would say that I traveled to the Philippines and India to to interview hundreds of agents to determine how my knowledge is being received. And in that process, I was able to gather a wealth of information that I wouldn't have been able to remotely. It's something that I had to go there and do, and I developed a survey so I could come back with very specific data about these differences, not just kind of my general impressions. I also asked questions off the record so I could get quantitative and qualitative results and analyze them. I developed two plans. One plan to address a 2-year kind of timeline to address some larger problems, and another plan to look at a 6-month sort of what can we do in the meantime to fix the problems of today. And so I presented this to the VP of Customer Support, and I took essentially, whether they were, some were visual and some were guides, and I pasted 8.5, 11 paper all across the wall so that it was really an interactive presentation, so the VP could go around and see kind of the 8 major problems that we were having and why we were having them, and see some visuals and some screenshots and call-outs and what the agents see. And I think that was the most creative presentation that I've had to give. It took a little bit to set up, but I think so many people will come in a room and sit down and get on their phones and do email, and so this was a little bit more engaging to present the information as efficiently as possible. Some people consider themselves to be big picture people, and others are detail oriented. Which are you? I'm definitely detail oriented. I don't prefer to do a project unless I understand the big picture. I really like to understand where the project is going or how we're attempting to get there, because often I like to find better ways to accomplish the same goal, essentially. So I would say that overall I'm really detail-oriented. I don't like things to go without periods, and so I really look at that stuff, and every time I send something out I realize it has my name on it, and it has my name attached to it, and not in the vain sort of sense, but that's important to me in terms of ethics and other things, and how you represent yourself to other people. On occasion, we are confronted by dishonesty in the workplace or in school. Tell about such an occurrence and how you handled it. So I think that I've not really experienced this in the workplace. I mean, I think that you're always going to find, it's inevitable in large organizations that there are going to be some employees that are dishonest. But the only time I've really come across this directly has been as a teacher, and you have students that are not working together in a group, and there's a group grade. And so how I dealt with it is I came in and I said, look, I'm informed that I have been informed that some of you are not participating in this group. And so what I did to kind of resolve that problem is I said, I can do 2 things. I can, there was 9 people in the group. I can say to the 5 people that did work, you will be graded as if you did work in terms of 9 people, and the other people will fail this part of the presentation, right? So I sent out I communicated that in person, and I sent up a follow-up email to the 9 students, and then I sent another email to the students who were working well and asked them to communicate back to me if their colleagues had participated in the project. And so I got the message across, and they all ended up working together. I thought this might help you in getting a better grasp of who I am and how I handle some of these questions, or how I would handle them in an interview. I've only written the questions out. I did not script my answers, and I didn't even take time to kind of pre-think out my answers to these questions. I just thought they were good questions. So I appreciate the time you've taken to look over my interview and to read my resume and read my cover letter and all those things. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.